Hello everyone, this is Ellie, and this is a different podcast today at the Glyptoteket in Copenhagen. And so we were kicked out of the Glyptoteket because selfie sticks are not allowed. So here we are again.
Yes.
I'm together with Dimitra today, Dimitra Sotiraki. We met at the Copenhagen Expat Network, one of their events, and we clicked. Greece. We're both from Greece. That brought us together, and we've had some very cool discussions since then.
Yes.
And yeah, thanks for being here.
Yes.
So yeah, would you like to say a little bit about yourself?
myself?
Yes.
Yes. Originally from Greece, already in Denmark for the last almost 8 years. Time flies. And originally I came in UNSE for studies. Then work happened, then COVID happened, then Copenhagen happened. And 8 years after I am here, I have a multitude of education in different areas, from linguistic to communication to international relations. And at the moment, as I like to say, I'm doing a lot and I'm doing my best.
Yes, you are doing a lot.
Yes, I am
You
doing
are.
a lot.
You're part of 3, 4 communities now.
Three really actively / professionally, a fourth one now coming.
Okay.
Yes.
So which one was the first that came into your way?
Well, do you want to go chronologically or?
Yeah.
Yes,
Let's do
chronologically it is. So, as an extroverted person, when I moved in Copenhagen, the first thing that I did was I was questioning how you meet new people. I didn't know anyone. So I was like, volunteering, yes. And I searched online about communities around food and around cooking, because it is something that I deeply, deeply love. Typical Greek. And I found out about a community that happened to be next to my house that it is a vegan community cooking every Tuesday, and their next event was cooking a Greek vegetable dish with feta imitation.
Mm-hmm.
The Greek in me got a bit enraged, but I thought, like, let's go try, and I did. And that was the first time that I joined Cafe Folkekoken.
Okay.
Since then, it's been 3 years now. I am their communication and partnership manager, representative. It's a non-profit. It's a small organization, so
You choose
yes.
your title, kind of thing.
You choose your title, you choose your adventure, and in corporate talk, you wear many, many hats, not only a chef one. Yes. And that is the first community. And actually, promo myself, we are preparing, because in August we will participate in the Climate Folkemøde in Middelfart. And I am creating a workshop for them. So that's one more thing that I'm doing. Second community is the one that we met. It's called Copenhagen Expat Network. It is created only this. Yes, the wildlife is wild here. It is created the past October on 2024, and since then, almost every month we did at least one event. And it's a community that the one that brought us all together, it's called Arares, is a common friend, and we are bringing resources and we're bringing internationals together that they want to take their next step in their career, but they don't know how. They don't know how to ask for the raise. They don't feel confident on starting their own business, because let's be honest, being an international, being away of your country is already scary enough. So we are trying to help with that. Our next event, actually, second promo for ourselves, is on the 18th of June, and it will be about the mortgage system in Denmark and how you can obtain property and how you can work with banks and things like that. Third community is the generalist world. So, one day, as I like to say, as any of us, I was doom scrolling on TikTok, and doom scrolling on TikTok have brought me many things, some of them good. That one was amazing because I saw a video of a girl talking about a fact, about a way of working that, oh yeah, the fact that you don't have a clear CV that shows that you go from point A to point B to point C is not a hinder, is not a bad thing, it's a strength, and you are a generalist. And I'm like, a light bulb moment type of thing, and I'm like, so I am a generalist. Yay me! What does that mean? And that started a journey for me to figure out about the generalist world community, to get to know that girl. It's called Millie, is the creator of the community. And from there, I started to get more involved and more involved. And actually, last week, I hosted the first ever live get together for generalists in Copenhagen. So
I couldn't make it, unfortunately. I was sad.
We will have a second one and a third one, and I hope many, many more. So don't worry about it. And that's about it. That's the three main communities.
Okay, so maybe we take them, one by one, and some topics on each. The first one, you're really interested in sustainable food. And,
yes.
What is happening on that topic?
Well, food and sustainable food is something that we cannot live without, and the way we eat, it does affect. It does have a huge effect on our climate and our environment and our everything. There is a lot of discussions, and it is important to remember that big changes could be done, and big discussions could be done in higher levels, in legislation, in agriculture, and things like that. However, I do believe that we can change things as consumers, and I really want to work and help and empower people to learn how to use their food, because Denmark has a ridiculously high percentage of food waste, and that doesn't sit right with me.
Yep, it's Denmark is supposed to be green and all, but it's
Denmark is green because it has parks and forests. That's about it. Controversial opinion, but
no, but I saw somewhere that within the first 3 or 4 months in the year, we have consumed all the resources for the whole year or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is, wow, crazy. When I saw that, I was like, wow. What can we do about that?
We can do a lot of things. The first, and what everyone is talking about, is consuming less or at all meat, especially beef, that is consumed so much in Denmark. It feels like every restaurant will have at least like 3 or 4 dishes that is with beef, and more important, not only beef, but only selected parts of beef. That means that a big part of the animal is getting wasted already. consuming more legumes, learning from and pulses like lentils, beans, chickpeas, learning from other cultures and how they implement different things. For example, how to make a bean stew, how you can if you get extra. Now that we are approaching the summer, the weather doesn't remind us, but still, if you get like extra vegetables or extra something, how you can preserve them, how you can keep them further, how you can use them in your food, because a lot of people do not know how to use, they don't know how to cook, and the next step is even they get empowered to start using recipes, they don't know how to subsidize if they're missing something or prefer something else, and it goes like that. I want to help and inspire people, to teach them how you you don't need to use animal products to make something tasty. You don't need to use a recipe step by steps, and if you don't have an ingredient, or if you have less, or if you have something different, you freeze and you're like, oh my god, we abandon everything. We are not doing it. You can use an extra potato. We are in the land of potatoes.
The land of potatoes, but they start sprouting and getting green after 3 days, which is I don't get that.
And that is not a bad thing. Like, you can still, like, as someone coming from Greece, and as someone growing up with grandparents, I learned first of all, I learned to trust my senses on food. If a label on the package says that it's beyond like their preferred date,
Expiration.
a lot of times it's not an best before.
Yeah.
It's best before. Before that, but still, it smells good, it tastes good, it feels right. Then okay, yeah, but
Yep.
why to throw it out, or why not to use it, or but you need to learn some basic things that our grandparents and are everything new. Like, for example, if you see mold on a cheese, you can cut it and you eat the rest of the cheese. But if you see mold on a bread, because of how porous it is, you need to throw the whole bread.
Yeah, if it's hard cheese, right? You can cut it off.
Well, even with soft cheese, like you need to cut a bit more. But still, even with feta, for example, if it gets a bit yellow from outside, you can cut and.
Okay, good to know. I would not do that.
No. And especially, like, when I see people throwing out condiments that have so many preservatives that they can last for centuries, like.
Yeah. Okay, and do you do anything at the kitchen so that you teach people or kind of promote this way of thinking?
The main thing that we are doing, and the main thing that I'm so proud for about this kitchen, is, since we are a vegan organization, that means that we are cooking 100% without using animal products. That means cheese, fish, meat, anything.
Vegan.
Completely vegan. And however, if you follow us on Instagram and you see our dishes and our everything, you will see that we have dishes from literally all over the world. And we are proud to say that there isn't any dish that we are not able to veganize, if I can say like that. Of course, sometimes it doesn't taste exactly the same, because you cannot expect to taste exactly the same. But that doesn't mean that it doesn't taste good. Sometimes it doesn't look exactly the same, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't look good. And sometimes our creations completely ours, but also sometimes, especially with Greek dishes, they are creations that they are dishes that they are naturally vegan. Like, if you have a Greek bean stew, it is naturally vegan. If you have a medley of vegetables, It is naturally vegan. Like, I never understood, and I really never understood the people that turn and say that, yeah, if you don't have meat, it's not a dish.
Yeah.
And I'm like, the Greek inside of me, go tell that to your grandma. Go tell that to your grandma.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They grew up without much meat and
Yes.
they made everything work.
They made everything work, and by extent also today, in today's day and age, my grandma cannot understand why I don't want to eat meat, because for her, when I visit, eating meat is a celebratory thing for her, which is not for me, and you can see the gap of generations there. However, you learn and you adapt and you learn many things, and there are so many things that I've learned over those 3 years from the kitchen. I learned how to use tofu. To be honest, before that I didn't know how to use tofu, and I didn't know how to use tofu because also I didn't have access to tofu. Yes, that is another thing about Denmark and food. I learned that a wonderful meat alternative that you can use, especially if you make dishes like bolognese, lasagna, like walnuts. Walnuts. Incredible. And it gives you both the crunch, and because it has fat, has a lot of fat, it gives you also the meat. And if you use mushrooms that have naturally meaty flavor, the combination is incredible. Try it. How about you? What is your favorite dish, Ellie?
Oh, my favorite dish. It changes with the season.
That is the right answer, Ellie.
Yeah. Well, it pizza. I can't say no to pizza.
Okay.
Or souvlaki.
Okay.
But I also like the bean stew that we have in Greece.
A true sign that we grow up now. We are like, yeah, bean stew, lentils.
And I've also really come to like the Eastern cuisine.
Okay.
Like Indian and Japanese.
Yes.
Yeah, quite a lot.
Indian cuisine, for example, is a example of naturally vegan dishes because of Hindus and everything.
Yeah, that's South India, but North is still eating meat like chicken and stuff.
In Greece, we're still eating meat, but most of our traditional dishes, it is without meat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's go to the second one now. Yeah. We're both Greeks that came to Copenhagen. We've been here for a few years.
Yes.
Well, Denmark. How has it been for you as a Greek? Like we're very extroverted, let's say.
Yes.
And Denmark is
Not.
yes, it's not. So how has it been for you?
I am incredibly, not incredible. I am incredible, but that's not what I want to say. I am incredibly happy that I'm in this country, and I'm thankful for being in this country. However, that doesn't mean that after living so many years here, there aren't things that I wish they might have been a bit different. First, when people are asking me, "Oh my God, is there a difference between Greece and Denmark?" and I'm like, "Oh my God," I came up with an example that makes almost everyone understand. And I'm saying that the Greek word for yes means no here.
Yeah.
We are so different because for whoever doesn't know, in Greek, yes is ne, which in so many other countries and languages means no.
Yeah.
So
That's a bit confusing for people.
yes, yes, it is confusing.
Yeah.
And by default, as an extrovert, as a someone who wants to make communities, who wants to get involved in a lot of things, who wants to uh, do a lot of things in her life, it is difficult here. It is difficult for someone who doesn't have a Danish partner like myself. It is difficult for or you. It is difficult for people that they're not fluent in the language, which by default is, even though as a linguist I can tell you, and I'm saying that to all the Danes, the Danish language as a grammar and as a base of the language is ridiculously easy.
It's pretty easy, yeah.
They have three tenses. That's it. However, and this is a really big however, the pronunciation is a big problem, and the fact that a lot of internationals, willingly or not, a lot of times not willingly, we are isolated from native speakers, because even if you want to try and practice your Danish and everything, Danish people will turn to English, and then if you don't speak Danish, people will not talk to you, and it is a whole thing.
Yeah, it has to be within context and
Yeah.
usually very short.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not easy to practice.
Yes, and even though that I have finished like the pédêtre, which is the highest degree, almost the that you can get as a public education
Yeah.
here.
It's the one that you need to get the citizenship.
Yes.
Yes.
Before I start working in a completely Danish company that everyone was speaking to me in Danish mostly, my level was almost non-existing because yes,
Sirens.
everything. We chose this life. Yes. So it is, but again, I am still here 8 years after. I am still looking on how I can contribute to this country and how I can help and how I can promote the country, how I can maybe also how I can connect the two countries that they seem so different and so far away, but
There's also a lot of connection though, because many Danes go for vacation to Greece.
yes,
and they have this connection in some way.
there's so many Danes that learn Greek also.
Mm.
Yes, I've learned so many Danes as was my actually a few years ago during COVID. I got the chance through the Danish refugee system, Danish Refugee Council, sorry, to meet the Danish lady and chat with her through Skype to improve my Danish. Her name is Liz, and I called her my Danish grandma because all this year after we are still communicating and we're still talking. And Liz, born and raised in Denmark, now in her 70s. She was educated and she was a Greek professor in high schools in Denmark.
Wow.
She was taking her students every year to trips in Athens and in Delphi and in Greece in general. And every year on September, she's going to a tiny village somewhere in Crete for 10 days, I think, 2 weeks, something like that. Every year, the same village, the same house. She knows the people. She speaks Greek. She talks with people in the cafeneo. Exactly.
Nice.
She still though carries ruble with her.
That's missing from Greece.
Exactly.
How did you connect with her? And were you practicing Danish and she was practicing Greek, or?
Yeah, we were just speaking in Danish and we are
Okay.
talking about everything and anything in life. Like, Of course, to the level that I can communicate and to the level that he can hear me because he has hearing problems. So it is an interesting thing, but I do have my Danish grandma, and I have been twice or three times already to Anas to meet her, and it was really, really nice.
How did you connect?
Through Skype. Like through the
refugee council.
Yes, the
Yes,
refugee
okay.
council gave her my email. We talked through email in the beginning, and then through Skype.
Mm.
And now Skype is gone, and I don't know.
Skype became Teams.
Skype became Teams. Oh my god, the jingle from Teams. I think every corporate girly has nightmares about that. Anyway, that is another conversation.
Yes. How has your work experience been here in Denmark?
Yes.
Okay.
The subject of work is a big question for me because I had the luck to have a lot of positions until now in different companies, but most of them were different positions. I've learned a lot from all of them, but now for the last year I'm looking for my next position, and it has been, at least to say, difficult. Because again, Denmark is a small country. A lot of people and a lot of companies prioritize their comfort, but that doesn't stop me. At the moment, I started working as an intern, as a long-term intern with Tech Barbecue, which is one of the biggest tech events in the Nordics. And I have to say, as far as I have read in other sources, one of the biggest in Europe. So, yay us. So let's see what communities and what events I can do from that, and what experience I can get.
Hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. We've been talking about having too many interests
Yes.
and not knowing where to focus or not wanting to focus on anything.
Yes.
So how do you approach that?
This is where the third community comes, the generalist world. Essentially, the being a generalist, because I do identify as a communication generalist, is that you accept that you're interested in many things in life, that and that is not a bad thing, and you can combine all those things. Example: recently, for example, I was talking for a communication position with a company, and in an interview with them, I was describing the communities that I'm part of, and they were like, "Oh my God, everything! It sounds so amazing! So everything is so related with the position." Well, maybe not the kitchen, but and at that point, I stopped the guy and I said, "Yes, but on 3 years, you learn a lot when you have to educate new volunteers, and when you have to literally deal with open fire. You learn a lot about project management and crisis management." And he laughed and he agreed, because that is something that is necessary to do when you work with so many things as I do. You need to show the connection, show the red line between the dots to people, because, for example, people may have, or companies or whoever may have got used to going from A to B to C to D, but that A, B, C, D doesn't make a word. You need to show them what the word means, because the word may go to from A to B, but then to L and E, and create able. Where it's not with A, it's with E in Danish. But still, the joke still works, people.
Yes.
Yes.
And another thing was that we discussed was a position you interviewed for, but they on paper you had all the skills but not the industry knowledge,
Yes.
and that was in my books that is something that you can learn,
Yes.
but they were looking for that, whereas other skills that take longer or they're more difficult to acquire, they didn't matter as much, as far as I understood. So what is the thing? What is the thought process there?
For good or for worse, that didn't happen only once. It is a recurring situation that I'm facing recently. That I have the experience for the position. I have the skills. I have the even more skills. I have the uh, knowledge on how to work and how to everything. But sometimes, and as makes sense, I haven't worked with that specific community or that specific industry. Does that mean people work different? People interacted differently if they're engineers or if they're chefs or if they're not? No.
Maybe they have their codes of.
Yes, they do. And if you know, or if you have like a know something about the community or like the general feel, of course it makes sense that it's helpful. But in my mind, at least, maybe for hiring managers is different. In my mind, uh, vocabulary can be taught faster than proactivity. Vocabulary can be taught faster than empathy. Not that the other two cannot be taught eventually, but to some extent and much more difficult. And again, it didn't happen only once. It happened, for example, 2 years ago or something, that there was a video game that I played for many years. And it happened that the creator is a company here in Denmark.
No, which one?
Ellie. As we say in Greek, we don't say names, we don't destroy families. uh, that I was playing the game. I told that to my cover letter. I mentioned that to the first interview. And then I got rejected because I don't have enough working experience in the same industry, in the gaming industry. And I'm like, I have all the skills that you want, at least the skills that you listed on your job description, because all also like job descriptions is another conversation that we can have. But and I am playing your game. I am part of this community.
Yes.
The fact that I haven't worked in other games before, why does it matter? I don't know. It is a big discussion, and you never know. Maybe also a lot of people are telling me, I do believe that to some extent, that okay, they may say that because they need to say something, and it might be something else.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be that if it's not that. They can just say, "Oh, you were a good fit, but we found someone that is a better fit."
That is,
I have heard before.
I
can accept that.
I've heard that yesterday. I've heard that so many times. Like, oh my god! I think, and to be honest, I know that the intention is there and the intention is good, but when a rejection letter says like, oh my god, you are perfect, you are amazing, we appreciate so much your skill, but we went something with someone else, and I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, good. Or the even worse, controversial opinion, Ellie, but rejection letters that start with, oh my god, we had so many applicants. Like we were overwhelmed, and we had more than 500, like insert number here, applicants. And I'm like, as as a reasoning on why I'm getting rejected or why someone's getting rejected. No, 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 no. I do not freaking care. As you don't care about the 500 applications that I had to fill in to reach to you, I don't care about the 500 other candidates that you had to review. If you're gonna reject me, if you're gonna tell me that, oh my god, Dimitra, you're getting the job and we had to reject 500 other people, maybe I will react differently. I don't know. Controversial opinions of Dimitra. Part, I don't know how many.
And what would you say on job descriptions? Because you said that you had a lot on that.
Writing job description. Writing in general, and writing something that will click with people and something that is understandable and passes what you want to say is an art. And you and me, as someone that we worked with content, someone we worked with marketing, we know that very well. A lot of people do not. A lot of people think that the fact that I can put words together on a piece of paper, in a Word document, it means that I can write. That being said, that goes for job descriptions. I have seen job descriptions that are wonderful. Some examples of that are job descriptions that have what is expected from the candidate for the first month, the first 3 months, and the first 6 months. Some of them are job descriptions that include the pay. Yes.
Yeah.
Some of them are job descriptions that have specific examples of what they need and how they need it. For every positive thing that I've listed, there is the other side of the moon. I've seen job descriptions that essentially are long lists of stuff. I've seen a job description for a big company here in Denmark that essentially it was if I remember correctly, it was a communication position, and they were on the skills that the candidate had should have. They just listed 5 other positions.
So 5 positions grouped into
6
one.
essentially, because it was 5 positions on the skills and the title
And,
was
okay.
6.
Yes.
Yes. I have seen, of course, also like goes with a lot of big European organizations, that the job description and like the application is like 5 or 6 pages long. Yes. Like there are so many things. There are so many things that, yeah, people will not list their necessary skills. A lot of companies, a lot of recruiters, a lot of hiring managers also use job descriptions as wishing lists.
Mm.
We list 15 things that we want, and then we know we will get only 5, but we can reject whoever because of like, oh, the 5 wasn't necessary. We don't tell you which 5 out of the 15, so you may come with 10, but again, percentage wise, you're not there, and things like that. Like, again, the way that the world is and the way that our professions are, it is questionable at the moment. And the only thing that I've realized that I can do, apart from like writing applications again and again, is meeting with people, creating connections, creating actual communities that I want to be part of, because connecting with people is essentially what I want to do. Connecting with people is essentially what makes me happy. And that's how we connected, also how I connected with so many other people. So by if a company, if someone realizes that and sees that in me, and we have a connection, we click, that's good. Otherwise, I will continue fry potatoes. Because at the moment, professionally, I am frying potatoes.
You mentioned before that you're a communications generalist.
Yes.
What does that mean?
Greek phrase come in mind, but I don't know how to, like, it will not translate good in English. I'm doing everything, and I'm doing everything, and I'm doing my best. There is a reason why I'm saying that. As I told you before, creating connections and connecting with people is what I do, what I live for, as Ursula and Ariel said. So communication is a really broad
Yes.
profession, and it's a really broad everything. So essentially, by saying communication generalist, I'm saying that I'm not focusing on one aspect of communication. I'm not focusing only on writing, that I'm doing on LinkedIn and on my website. You will find more. Breaking the third wall. How incredible I am. The fourth wall. The fourth wall. Yeah. I'm not only talking. I'm not only creating events. I'm not only, and that's why, for example, communication generalist can be described by a community manager, at least in my mind and in my world, because a community manager needs to know how to write, how to communicate, how to be empathetic with people, how to mediate, how to crisis manage, how to create events, how to engage with the community, how to keep the community engaged, because that is also a big aspect. And my love for generalism is the fact that I got all those qualities or those skills not from one job or one position or one company, but from the entirety of my career and my education. Because my first master's was in crisis management, my last master's was in communication, my second master focused on social media, for example. So yes, I have three. I collect them.
Cool. So that would be your ideal job description, let's say.
My ideal job description would be me interacting with people. That is something that I'm really struggling with. And if someone has a solution, please write it somewhere.
That's very broad.
I'm finding out so many titles that matches, but also so many titles that, for example, customer experience, connecting with people, help them learn, manage a community. Too much Excel for my taste. Or like CRM, because it's not Excel, it's CRM. Community manager. It is a role that matches more, but also what people consider as community manager or communication varies. For example, another example, as you were saying, for the job descriptions, in a really big Danish company, you know which one it is, they were asking for a communication manager to create a communication strategy for the department, to create content, to do all those things. They reject me because I'm not an like the system automatically rejected me because I don't have a degree in engineering. Can engineers communicate? I'm sure they can.
Some of them.
Some of them, yes.
They should be able to. Everyone should be able to, but yeah.
Is everyone though able to?
No.
Exactly. that is the thing. And we're going back to how to approach feelings, for example. It is different. Another example that may be relevant. In a previous job that I was really, really lucky to work with people that at the moment they had more years of experience, each of them, than years that I was alive. Big professionals with millions of dollars, kronas, whatever, created and everything. At some point, the head of the project was discussing about a speech that I had to give to some people in the university. And I turned to him and I told him that the speech is amazing. I know that what you're saying is factually correct, but it's boring AF.
Ouch.
Yeah, maybe that's why I'm still here. I don't know.
That was a bit too direct.
I didn't say AF. Yes, because, for example, if you forget to make jokes or to emotionally motivate and move the audience will forget you. The audience will have an attention span of approximately 5 to 10 minutes, and that is if you're really good.
Yeah.
And then nothing. I'm happy to say that he followed my advice, and it's not that we changed something like the information that he gave. We changed the
delivery.
The delivery and the perspective, because if you say that 5 car accidents may happen at this moment, is a number. If you say though 5 families will have a tragedy in this day, it gives the same thing, but motivate, like, attracts you and makes you feel completely different.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, also implementing story in some way.
Yes,
helps a lot.
Storytelling. Remember that storytelling is something that people did before they were people.
Forever.
Even we have examples of storytelling before Homo sapiens existed. So
yes,
it might be a bit important.
That says something.
That says something. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So in this day and age,
yes,
companies are having a hard time to connect with their audience.
Yes.
And community is really important, communication is really important. So what are the things that they can do to better adapt in this, I wouldn't call it new environment, but it is kind of new. What do you say?
Controversial opinion number, again, I don't know what. To build a successful community, for a company to build a successful community, or a successful social media campaign, but especially for a successful community, you need not to prioritize monetary gain.
Oh, okay.
This is the hard life of a creative. This is the hard life of especially a communication professional and a community manager, because even if the company prioritizes the monetary gain, it is really hard to establish KPIs. So if a company considers and what I considers that, oh my god, I need someone that will reach like X amount of like subscriptions or whatever, then this turns to sales, not to a community manager.
Yeah.
And when I'm saying that it's really difficult to establish a KPIs, is that okay, you can establish amazing music choices. You can establish you can say that okay, I have a goal of X participants in that event, or of X reach or reactions on social media or whatever. You cannot measure how someone felt. You cannot measure the fact that you may made someone felt seen. You cannot measure, for example, a big example of community, and when I'm saying that it's not, some things cannot be measured. Imagine all the sports campaign, especially campaigns like Nike's or Dove. Those campaigns are still memorable in our minds, and those campaigns moved us, and they are still in our minds because they moved us, not because they had X KPIs, not because they were played or shared X amount of time. Does that mean that Nike or Dove sales skyrocketed or made like a as an impact on their sales as on their brand? That I don't know, to be honest. I haven't searched it.
I guess it's a more long-term
Yes,
effect for the brand.
yes, and that is also something that a lot of companies and individuals are missing. The fact that it is not, sometimes it's for the long run, it's for the long game, we play for the long game. Community is not always, and it's not easily for the short game, it's a long game plan. Communication could be a short game, could be a something, but it's not something that you're achieving in a day. And a lot of especially startups tend to forget that. I've talked, because Copenhagen, for good or for worse, is a paradise for startups. Every other person that you meet either works in a startup or has a startup or thinking to start a startup or something, because they have the next big idea. And I do believe that a big amount of those people may have big ideas, may have a really big will and energy to work and do stuff, but then they don't know how to communicate it. Then they don't know how to promote it. I was talking with a startup with a possibility for me to help them with the communication. They didn't know who they wanted to talk to. They were like, oh yeah, everyone. I'm like, it's not everyone. We are not talking to everyone.
Talking to everyone is like talking to no one.
Exactly. And if you, as a leader, as a CEO, you don't know who you want to talk to, I can help you find out, but then it means that you need even more help with communication. And I've seen a lot of startups like, no, 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 no. We can hire an unpaid student intern to do our communication and our
Social
branding,
media.
and our branding is enough.
Yeah, intern for social media, all the content creation.
The amount, if you go to the hub, the amount of startups, the amount of companies that require unpaid interns to do some of the most essential work for outside, it is crazy. The amount that a lot of people consider that, oh yeah, we'll get an unpaid intern for 2 months and they will do our branding.
Up to 6.
Up to 6. Yep. They will do our branding. They will need to have 5 years of experience. From where, I don't know. They will do our social media. They will do influencers. They will help us go viral, because that's how it works, Ellie.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know if your experience in marketing and facility, you go viral.
Yep, let's go viral.
Exactly. Um, you need to write the communication. You need because you're an intern, you need to do the everything in the office and bring things and do things like that,
And not really have any support.
Yes, you are a department of one, because as an intern, that is what you need, to be a department of one by yourself. And then, oh my god, it didn't work. Or then they get their second intern, and then they get their third intern, and it goes like that. Another example, another experience that I had. I was in talks with a startup, and a friend of mine referred them to me, and we started talking. I saw their job description. The job description was for an unpaid student. They were asking for student. They were hesitant of me being a professional.
You would ask for money.
Yes, Ellie. Yes. Don't spoil the end of the story.
Sorry.
Yes. And I went with them, and they start listing the things that they wanted. By the way, more things that they, spoiler alert, more things that what they had in the job description.
Oh.
Yes. And they start telling me that they want me to, of course, do all the content creation, both text and images and everything. I needed to do influencers relations, and by default, they did told me that we need to go viral. They wanted me to do social media marketing. They needed me to do marketing in general. Another big title, but yeah. They wanted me to do SEOs. That by default comes sometimes with the content, but yeah.
Yep.
They wanted me to do business analysis. They wanted me to do graphic design. And as a cherry on top, they wanted me to help them find a name for the company.
Okay.
They had the full-on product ready. They made the product before they did anything.
Yes.
And they got they had investors.
How do you get
I don't know.
funding without testing the product in the market in
Controversial,
some way.
controversial opinion number one more. By being a white man in Denmark. Yes, because let's be honest, even in actually, it is really funny that according to the recent numbers from European Union, the job equality between men and women in the job market is better in Greece than in Denmark.
Wow.
I don't know what they calculated because I just saw the numbers. So I don't know if they calculate. Oh yeah, more women are working as I don't know, primary teachers, and more men are working as doctors. But still, there are less doctors than teachers. So to go like that. So I don't know if they compared like apple to oranges, but still, more women in the job market in Greece than here.
Well, one thing that is definitely true in Greece is that when it's a couple, they both have to work to make ends meet.
Well, even in Denmark nowadays, like they both need to work to make ends meet. But yes, in Greece, the situation is getting a bit ridiculous, as in so many other European countries. Especially when we are considering the relation between rent and salary. In Greece, an average salary is what, 1,500 euros. In a in
Yeah,
Athens and Thessaloniki, not even like, the average apartment rent
600,
8,
8. Whoa.
6. Yeah, let's say 6 to be generous. 600. Yeah, almost 60%. If we say 1,000, almost 60% of your salary. And plus,
Yeah.
in Greece, compared to a lot of places in Denmark, any other utilities that you have is on you. So plus that. This is what is the answer why when people are asking me, because I've heard that so many times from Danish people, why you're not going back to Greece? The weather here is horrible. Yes, the weather in Denmark is not ideal.
But
But-
everything else
But,
is pretty good.
But I'm not afraid to return home at night compared to Greece. I don't need to use. Now we're opening a completely other this Pandora's box, but we don't, like, for example, I don't know how is your house, your apartment, but my apartment has a thinner door that my in-house room in Greece has, and we're just like lock it and we're fine. Like the other night, I woke up in the morning and I realized we forgot to lock the door.
Yes.
Meanwhile, in when I was living in Thessaloniki, we had a 30-centimeter thick security door with 3 locks, and we got our place robbed. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Let's go a bit back
Yes.
to the communication topic
Yes.
and how it's not prioritized, and it's in startups at least it's handed over to interns. And I guess that evolves when the startup grows. It evolves into marketing being a cost center instead of, growth machine.
Yes.
And yeah, that creates some disconnection that people can feel in a way that it's very money oriented, and
Yes.
that doesn't allow for connection.
Yes, a big advice, a big tip, a bit everything in marketing and in content creation is that for companies to remember that your audience do not care about you, do not care about your product. You need to show them not what your product does, as many companies, as many marketing and brands focus on, but how your audience life will be improved if your product is in their lives. You don't say you for let's take as an example note taking AI something. Okay, don't say our app, our software takes notes using AI. Okay, so what? Who doesn't these days? Let's say. Focus on you will not have to deal with your manager forgetting the assignments. Find a pinpoint, find a struggle that your audience have, and focus on that one. Don't focus on how your community, how your product is the best thing after sliced bread. It is amazing. Like now I really do believe with the craze that every startup has with using AI, we will hear about sliced bread with AI. They will be. I'm 100% sure that there is somewhere out there a bread slicer that it has an app.
Yep. It slices exactly the same width of slices.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's what's it called? Clash, yes, between being customer centric and focusing on making money. Because leadership sometimes thinks that being customer centric means that they will not reach the goals. I don't know what the thinking is there.
Well, my assumption, because I cannot be sure, I don't have my own. Well, I don't have my own company. I don't have to deal with that, and different people deal with the same thing differently. But my assumption is that a lot of people see success only as a number on a bank in a bank account. How much is your profit? How much money you gained? Meanwhile, if your satisfaction rate is not that good, you don't have returning customers. So today you may have a good number in your bank account, but tomorrow you will not. If you don't inspire um, a lot of people they see success in a non-human way, and for some companies that works. That's why for some others it doesn't.
Yeah. Is it that they have products that we can't live without, or did they do something well at the beginning and people kind of stuck with it? Or both, I guess.
Could be one, could be other, could be all three. I don't know, because that's the thing. I'm thinking now that a lot of the startups, a lot of the products that we see, apart except if it's like biotech, people literally can live without them.
Yes.
A lot of, and that is the thing that maybe when you, another aspect and another reason why, in my opinion at least, companies should prioritize, but they don't because it's uncomfortable, should prioritize people with different point of views, with different experiences, generalist, yes, is for them to see the gaps. Because let's not forget, when you're working on something, and that is on all of us, like, I'm not saying specific people, when you're working on something for a long time, you tend to forget the forest.
Yes.
And not only you're focusing on the tree, you end up sometimes focusing on one specific leaf on a specific tree. And then you see that someone comes, and it is uncomfortable, but if someone forces you or shows you that, there's another tree over there, and a third tree. Why are we focusing on only one tree? That can be scary. That can be new. That can be big. That can be all of the things. But also, in my humble opinion, that can be also necessary. And I think that is what a lot of companies also forget. That their product may be amazing, but they focus so much on the reasons why they think that their product is amazing.
Assumptions.
Yes. That, and also that they forget to ask someone else. There is a wonderful book called How to Pitch Your Mother, talking about like all the assumptions and how you go to market and things like that. A wonderful book. I can find the exact title and author, and I can send it to you. Yes.
So what I'm taking out of this is companies have to think more long term,
Yes.
be more customer centric, focus on hiring good communicators,
Yes.
generalists, and what was the fourth one?
That you need to come on my next Generalist World event.
Also that. But the fourth one is remember to take a step back.
Yes.
And look at the big picture instead of the tunnel vision that companies usually have.
Yes. I think you sum it up really nicely. And I remember what I want to add before, that when I was studying crisis management, there are a lot of I was studying specifically focused on international organizations and international relations, crisis management. However, I realized, and we're going back to generalist and how different skills come from different places, that a lot of the theory and a lot of the practices on, when I was studying crisis management, I was focused on international relations and international organizations, and how different organizations and why different organizations fail to face a crisis and the failings that they're experiencing. And one of that was the tunnel vision, that you focus so much on you. One of that was the fact that you're being competitive with other departments.
Yes, internal competition.
Internal
That's
competition
insanity.
and internal lack of internal communication, and many others that I can see also that it can be applied to companies and applied to startups and applied to organizations of different sizes. To be honest, at this point, after all this conversation, I'm realizing that again, the point that I'm making after this conversation, apart from I'm really thankful that I've met you, is that skills can come from different places, and the fact that they don't, a specific skill doesn't come from a specific place that you thought that might come or it should come, doesn't mean that the skill is not there. That is a big reminder for myself also. But yeah.
Anything else you would like to say
To plug?
to close this conversation?
To close this conversation, again, one more time, that I'm really grateful both for meeting you and for you inviting me on this conversation. It was wonderful. To say that on the 26th of June, I will have the second Generalist World meetup in Matricial 1 in the work bar, and I can send you the link that you can share with people. I'm here for whoever wants to discuss communication, community, and anything food related. Yes, to make a really nice round up the conversation.
I'm also very grateful we met and
Yes.
that we had this very nice chat.
Yes.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
And yeah, see you in the next one. I hope I'll do more of these in-person vlogs, vidcasts, whatever they're called.
Vidcast. Oh my god, Ellie. Yes, queen. Yes.